This class is very interactive. Like, I need you to be ready for that when you come in here. Like, I've got so much energy for you for this information, and I want to make this a lived experience for you. So every time we have a lesson, every time you come in here, you should leave here thinking about something. Like, oh man, do I do that? Or maybe I need to talk to such and such. Or that's really interesting, I never thought about that like that, But you should be engaged while you're here, meaning that you should feel like some type of connection to what it is that we're talking about, because this class, in some way, in some unique way, is all about shaping how you interact with other people throughout the rest of your life. Not just right now, not just today, but thinking about what you've done in the past, thinking about the relationships that you've established with other people, thinking about how meaningful what you say is, meaning that every time you say something, you make somebody else feel a certain way. So you have to start thinking about that today. You have to start thinking, what do my words mean? And when I'm saying things, do I care if my words make somebody feel like nothing for the next 2 months? Does it matter to me if my words make a difference? Does it matter to me if I'm hanging around people that make me feel like nothing? If I'm choosing to be around people that make me take a deep breath and ruin the flow of my day? You gotta want to fail. The class is very organized. Everything that you need to know is already set up from beginning to end. So the file that you all need to be able to focus on all the time are the lesson plans that are located within each lesson in our class. So some classes are designed based upon the week. Every week you do something. Our class is not like that. We have lessons because we need to get through a chunk of material, and I'm not going to separate it into weeks and force you to know all of this stuff in 1 week. We're going to take our time and get through the material. We're going to go through the lesson, and then we're going to do the assessments, whatever the homework is, at the end of that lesson. The lesson plan is your baby because it explains and describes everything that you have to do in the class. But it also illustrates my teaching style as well, because I'm not just the instructor that wants to give you a definition. Define this. Here's a multiple choice question. Pick one, A, B, C, or D. I want you to comprehend. So I want to be able to put a word up here, and I want to know that you've seen this word before and you understand that you have an idea. You may not be able to give me a textbook definition on that, but you can talk to me a little bit. You can kick it with me about whatever that is because you have an idea, right? That's comprehension. I get it. I've seen it before. I have a clear real life understanding of what's going on with that. Knowledge. Knowledge means I can say, what is this? And you can tell me. Sociology is the study of human interaction. You know it, you can tell me that. With some information, we'll do that. With some information, I just want you to know a little bit about it to be able to have a conversation, to be able to apply it to something, Every single thing that we talk about in class, you're not going to have to memorize a definition for it. Some things, they're just good to know. They're just good to understand. Application. Now, sometimes you have a definition that's sitting there in the book. Now, raise your hand if you've had a class where somebody made you learn 50 definitions about something and then just give them the definition. Well, what good is the definition if you can't relate it to anything? So lots of times in this class, we'll talk about things or we'll talk about a concept, but we'll relate it to things that really happen in the real world. We'll connect it to relationships, to issues, to circumstances, global issues. We'll talk about all types of things where you're actually having something that you can touch, that you can feel, that you can relate. And sometimes it'll be abstract. So, synthesis. Sometimes we have to make connections. And again, sometimes those connections might be abstract because maybe we might talk about an experience of someone who is homeless. Maybe you've never been homeless before, you know what I mean? Maybe you don't understand what that walk of life is about. So we may take a story in some situation and we may talk about what you know, a rich person may think or feel about that, right? Just generalizing. We may talk about what, you know, a lower income person thinks or feels about that. That's your ability to synthesize, you know. And that makes you really, really knowledgeable about something. Because now you can talk about relationships. Now you really know what you're talking about. And you know what the key to being able to synthesize is? It's not having a head that's so big that you can't fit it into a car door. That's what that's about. It's about the idea that you understand what my perspective is and you understand someone else's perspective. Some of you are so into what you got to say. You think you're so right. You know everything. Your perspective is the only real perspective. It's the only thing that matters. So you can't synthesize. You can't create different relationships and explain and describe different angles because you only know one standpoint. You know one point of view. And that's all you got. You got one thing to say. And if somebody contradicts that, then you hide up under the table. You got nothing to say now, huh? You got nothing, right? If you're able to synthesize, that means that you can look at the world and you can use all of these different ideas and these different understandings, and you can come to a different conclusion. You may be able to take yourself to another level. How about that? You start off right here. You learn some different things. You're able to develop a different understanding. Now there's a person that you couldn't even look at before. You couldn't even look this person in the eye for whatever reason. And we'll talk about that stuff too. You know the reasons why you can't look at people. But we'll talk about those things. But maybe once you learn a few things and you synthesize things, then you can enhance your ability to interact with different people in different ways. Because you're able to see the world in a different way. You're able to be a little bit more open than you were in the past. That doesn't mean that you have to agree with people. Are you all with me on that? You don't have to agree with anybody. You don't have to love what they're doing. You don't even have to like them. So how about that? By the end of this class, you'll learn how to interact with people you don't like. Without being corny. Analysis. Now, who can teach you that? Analysis. Now, you got to be able to explain to somebody why something is happening. You understand? Not just this is what this is, but why is this happening? You know, why is this going on? You know, what is the reason for this? So I've been in this relationship all this time, and this person has been choking me every Sunday. I need to understand why this is happening. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to my cousin? You have to be able to analyze a situation. Not just understand that something is going on, but be able to dig into the root and understand why this is actually happening. That's how you're able to generate solutions. That's how you're able to know how to interact with somebody. Why do they behave in this type of way? Why do they think about this like this? Why do they interact in this particular way? That helps you know what to do next. I know what to do next now, right? Because I understand why this interaction is occurring in this particular way. Why couldn't I get along with my brother a little bit better? Well, let me understand who my brother is, why my brother makes choices, and how he figures things out. Once I take the time to know that, then I know what to say when he says A, B, or C. I better understand it. I get it. That's why is important. But some of us, nobody's taught you that, you know. You've been interacting with people using the toolboxes that you were given from a child on, but you haven't taken a sociology class, you know. Nobody's giving you the ingredients that you need to know so that you can figure out how you're going to better interact with these people in these different situations. That's what this class is about. Okay, so academic lesson plan. Okay. This academic lesson plan is going to tell you what you need to read, what is required for you to read during the lesson. Okay, and that means that typically you have the reading that you do where you take your time and you skim through each section, you look at the words that are in bold, you read through to try to grasp the general understanding of whatever it is that they're talking about. Then you'll have homework assignments that focus your attention to certain concepts, certain areas, certain ideas that then take you deeper into the areas that are necessary. But you have to do the skim read so that when you get to do your homework, you know where the stuff is. So go through it. Make sure you always go through your reading thoroughly to see what it is that it's about. You have 2 homework assignments for the first lesson. assignment is due this week, and then the next homework assignment is due next week. This week you have to introduce yourself on the discussion board. So your responsibility is to go onto the discussion board and introduce yourself to the class. So your homework is to not only introduce yourself on the discussion board forum, but I also need you to upload some type of tasteful picture of yourself. Under the discussion board forum, there's a link called My Profile. You click My Profile, and then you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and that's where it's called an avatar.